Ukraine's $70 million drone ambush destroys Russian special operation before it begins. Today, a covert Russian special operation in Crimea began to unravel long before its first helicopter could lift off, as Ukrainian forces executed a layered strike that ultimately caused about $70 million in combined losses. Russia had assembled PDSS diver teams, support vessels, and 2 mission-critical helicopters for a coordinated action along the Black Sea. Yet, before sunrise, faint radar anomalies signaled the quiet arrival of Ukrainian uncrewed surface vessels carrying a hidden drone payload. Within hours, those signals would evolve into the decisive moment that shattered Russia's plan. To understand how this unfolded, the story begins with the first movement. At 4:45 a.m., just before sunrise in Crimea, Russian monitoring stations detected faint, irregular signatures skimming the sea surface. There were no alarms, no high-speed objects, and no missile trails. However, small fluctuations appeared repeatedly across the fringe of Russia's control zone, suggesting that several compact platforms were slowly moving inward. At the same moment, activity intensified at forward bases in Crimea and Kherson. Personnel moved with a sense of urgency that exceeded routine operations. Engines were warmed, fuel lines checked, and sensitive equipment transported under blackout protocols. Russia was setting conditions for a special operation that required precise timing and multi-domain coordination. By 5:15 a.m., the tempo increased at Gardoya Air Base. 2 helicopters, a Mi-24 attack helicopter and a Mi-8 transport platform, were prepared for launch. Technicians inspected hydraulic systems, sensors, rotor assemblies, and external mounts with deliberate precision. These aircraft are typically used for low-altitude insertion missions and rapid air support along river and coastal sectors. Their readiness level indicated an operation built to strike quickly, possibly before Ukrainian surveillance systems were fully activated. Fuel reserves were secured, radio procedures synchronized, and target packets reviewed. All that remained was the command authorization to lift off. Meanwhile, at the harbour in Sevastopol, Russian naval crews worked around 5:25 a.m. to ready the tugboat BUK 2190, a critical support vessel for PDSS combat diver teams. They loaded diving chambers, propulsion units, sealed demolition containers, and encrypted communication devices. This gear enabled underwater sabotage operations near ports, piers, and river access points. The presence of specialized equipment suggested a stealth mission designed to infiltrate Ukrainian maritime approaches without alerting coastal sensors. Taken together, the activity on land and at sea indicated that Russia intended to launch a multi-directional operation that combined low-altitude aviation, underwater infiltration, and rapid response support vessels. Russia's planners sought to compress Ukraine's reaction time by striking simultaneously across several sectors. They hoped that helicopter movements, diver insertions, and maritime maneuvers would overload Ukrainian planning cycles and disrupt defensive patterns. But Ukraine had already detected the unusual signals offshore and began setting its own response into motion. At 5:40 a.m., 3 Ukrainian uncrewed surface vessels, USVs, advanced from distant offshore positions with near-silent propulsion. Each USV carried 4 fast attack drones inside armored compartments, totaling 12. Their hull profiles produced extremely low electronic signatures, allowing them to slip through radar networks optimized for larger or faster threats. Ukraine paired them with overhead reconnaissance drones positioned outside Russian strike range. This allowed operators to observe helicopter activity at Gardoya, diver preparations at the harbor, and coastal patrol patterns without exposing pilots or ground teams. Once launched, the drones could reach speeds up to 140 km/h, giving them the ability to chase moving targets or strike static infrastructure deep inside Russian-controlled territory. For now, however, the USVs simply held course, advancing steadily toward their release point. Ukraine intended to disrupt Russia's special operation before it reached execution stage. The balance shifted abruptly at 6:05 a.m. when a Russian Raptor-class patrol boat detected 3 unusual surface heat signatures. The crew used thermal optics to confirm that the signatures were uncrewed vessels heading towards the coastline. Recognizing the threat, the Raptor opened fire with its 14.5 mm heavy machine gun. Bursts of fire tore across the water, kicking up violent shockwaves around the USVs. The patrol boat accelerated to about 48 knots, tightening the interception route while adjusting firing angles to maintain the targets inside its engagement cone. Ukrainian operators realized that maintaining formation would result in immediate destruction. They executed an emergency split maneuver. The three USVs veered sharply in different directions, forcing the Raptor gunner to repeatedly correct aim and reducing the accuracy of each burst. One USV made a risky turn towards shallow, rock-filled waters. The area was too dangerous for the Raptor to enter without risking severe hull damage, forcing the patrol boat to circle around the hazard. Those lost seconds gave the remaining USVs crucial distance. At 6:12 a.m., with the Raptor closing again and heavy fire intensifying, Ukraine initiated an emergency UAV launch. All 12 drones inside the three USVs fired vertically using compact boosters. The sudden upward trajectories placed them above the Raptor's maximum 60-degree gun elevation limit. Although the gunner attempted to tilt the weapon higher, the mechanical stops prevented further elevation. Ukrainian operators later described this as a geometry-based survival tactic, using elevation rather than armor to defeat firepower. Once airborne, each drone separated and accelerated on its own path, shifting the engagement into an altitude layer where the Raptor could not pursue. The patrol boat continued chasing the now empty USVs, but the threat had already escaped into the air. The operation had survived its most vulnerable phase. Russia escalated its response at 6:25 a.m., activating coastal electronic warfare systems including Artyom and Borisogledsk. These complexes released wideband jamming fields that distorted GPS signals and disrupted radio channels. Some drones began drifting off course by nearly 15 kilometers as the interference intensified. Terrain-induced reflection pockets made navigation even more unpredictable. For a brief moment, the entire strike risked falling apart. Ukrainian operators quickly recognized the pattern. At 6:31 a.m., they switched every drone from satellite navigation to inertial guidance systems, which rely on internal sensors rather than external signals. The drifting stabilized almost immediately. When Russian crews increased jamming power again, inertial systems remained unaffected. Within minutes, Ukraine reorganized the drones into 3 coordinated strike groups, 6 directed toward Gordoya Air Base, 4 aimed at Silverstoly Harbor, and 2 climbing higher to serve as communication relays. By 6:45 a.m., the drones moved beyond the strongest interference zones and regained full navigational stability. Targets were confirmed, spacing adjusted, and approach angles refined. Ukraine had successfully breached Russia's electronic defenses with all strike elements operational. At 6:55 a.m., the first strike group approached Silverstoly Harbor at extremely low altitude, only about 10 meters above the surface, and slow speed, roughly 11 meters per second. Pantsir S-1 air defense systems failed to detect them because radar filters were tuned to ignore slow-moving objects commonly found in ports, such as cranes, tugboats, or equipment stacks. Fog further reduced radar clarity, while large steel hulls created deep shadows that concealed the drones. A spotter eventually noticed faint wakes at 6:59 a.m., but by then, the drones had already reached the inner basin. Their target was the tugboat BUK 2190, essential for PDSS diver teams. The first drone struck the wheelhouse, destroying navigation controls. A second slammed into the waterline, tearing open critical compartments. Flooding accelerated rapidly, causing the vessel to list about 20 degrees to port. Electrical damage prevented pumps from activating. Within minutes, the vessel sank, taking diver propulsion gear, rebreather units, demolition devices, and secure communication systems to the harbor floor. The loss of BUK 2190 and its equipment amounted to roughly $18 million and crippled PDSS capability around Silverstole. At 7:08 am, the next wave targeted Gardoya Air Base. These drones exploited the Tor M2's 4-second radar scan cycle. As the radar swept upward, the drones accelerated to about 180 km/h and crossed the low-altitude blind zone between the highway and airfield perimeter. By the time operators regained full coverage, the drones were already inside the boundary. Igla-S missile teams attempted to engage, but struggled because the drone's electric motors emitted almost no heat, making infrared lock difficult. Sunlight glare off the runway further confused the sensors. PKM gunners fired in bursts of 650 rounds per minute, but the drones weaved between vehicles and structures, rendering them difficult targets. Only 2 were shot down. 4 remained on track toward the helicopter apron. At 7:14 am, the first drone dived into the cockpit of the Mi-24 attack helicopter. The impact ruptured hydraulic lines and ignited 30 mm ammunition, engulfing the forward section in flames. A second drone hit the nearby Mi-8 transport helicopter, loaded with around 500 liters of JP-8 fuel. The resulting explosion tore open the fuel tank and produced an expanding fireball. In minutes, both helicopters, worth approximately $32 million, were burning wrecks. Secondary fires damaged power cables, maintenance carts, and service equipment across the flight line, adding approximately $20 million in infrastructure damage. The special operation Russia had prepared collapsed in minutes. Without the helicopters and without PDSS divers, Russia could not execute its coordinated mission. Its rapid reaction capability across the sector was severely reduced. PDSS diver teams at Silverstole lost their ability to secure underwater access points. Air crews at Gardoya lost 2 mission-critical helicopters assigned to fast response operations along the Black Sea. The cumulative losses, vessel, equipment, aircraft, and infrastructure, reached about $70 million, a severe blow to a force already strained by repeated Ukrainian strikes throughout 2025. Ukraine, meanwhile, had succeeded using only 12 low-cost drones delivered by 3 USVs, with no risk to personnel. The tactic underscored a growing shift in modern warfare. Agility, timing, and intelligent system pairing can outperform heavier equipment and predictable defensive routines. The operation exposed weaknesses in Russia's radar filtering, scan cycle timing, and readiness levels at both harbour and airfield. Russia may now redeploy PDSS units from other bases, increase helicopter surveillance of coastal areas, and enhance low-altitude radar coverage. Ukraine, conversely, may expand the USV-launched UAV concept with stronger warheads, extended range navigation kits, or tighter integration with its own electronic warfare units. In the wider context of the Black Sea conflict, the implications are significant. Ukraine disrupted a Russian special operation worth $70 million, destroyed key assets, and exposed systemic vulnerabilities, all with small drones and precise timing. As unmanned warfare continues to evolve, one question now shapes the next phase of the conflict. Will Russia adapt quickly enough? Or will Ukraine's evolving tactics continue to erode Moscow's control over the region? Share your thoughts and subscribe for more.